they asked me, the lovely team here, they said, would you like anyone in the studio? And I said, yes. And I've had one of my guests already. I said I wanted De Graft Mensa, who has been in already with his podcast, If You Don't Know. Check it out. What a lovely, lovely young man. And then I said, for the second half of the show, can you get me Luke Newman, please? Look at me like a diva. Get me Luke Newman. Now, Luke Newman is just a brilliant, brilliant man. And he founded For Men to Talk. He's in the building and we're going to speak to him in a little while. BBC Three Counties Radio, it's Lady Gaga, Edge of Glory. Now, it's my last show of 2022. No Babs FM tomorrow, but I will be back Monday and Tuesday. And then I'm back to my part-time hours. And then I'll just pop up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's it. So it's my last show and I wanted to catch up with an amazing person. And for me, because I was asked about people that I would like in the studio with me on my last show. And I said, please, could you get me Luke Newman? Luke Newman, for anybody that doesn't know, is from Bedfordshire, founded an organisation which gets men talking about anxiety, depression and grief. And that is a massive, massive deal. It's called For Men to Talk. And he very kindly has given me some time on his New Year's Eve. Hello, Luke.
Good afternoon.
Luke, thank you so much for coming
Oh,
in.
you're more than welcome. It's nice to get out of the house.
Oh, so I'm doing you a favour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I was thinking about this on the way in. Can we go back to the starting point? Because you were just bobbing along on your own. And then you decided that you would start this group. So why did you do that?
So I formed it on Christmas Eve in 2019. From my background, I lost both my mum and sister to cancer over the last 17 years now. It just keeps flying past. But I can always talk about my mental health, so I can talk about my grief, I can talk about my anxiety, my slight OCD that I got from it as well. But I know that it's hard for a lot of people, especially us men, to do that. So I thought, I want to try and do something about it. Let's just put a Facebook group together called For Men to Talk. Let's get a chance for men just to sit down and talk about how they're feeling. So we launched it in December. I launched it in December. We had our first meeting in February 2020, expecting 3 or 4 men through the door, which has been fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it would have been great, just to help those people. But we had like 19 men through the door on our first meeting. It was just incredible. And that's when I realised, hang on a minute, there was a massive need for this. So we just continued going from there. And obviously from the COVID period, we went to virtual meetings and now we're back physical meetings as well. It keeps growing and growing and growing.
I mean, there are two things I think here. It's like, it's good that you're there. It's amazing. But then I feel quite sad that there are a lot of men that need to talk, what's going on with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, they now have an outlet, because the thing, as a woman, you think about men, I think they'll probably, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but men are in general quite stoic, I think, don't talk about things because they're trying to keep everything together. So if other people in the family or relations or whatever are maybe crumbling or maybe, just not coping so well, the man or in that situation will just try and hold it all together.
Yeah.
And that isn't always a good thing, is it?
Absolutely not, no, because it can eat them alive.
Yeah.
So it's that macho pride thing, it's that stiff upper lip sort of mentality that men had for many, many years. Back in the 50s, 60s, men were going down, building houses or mining, and they'll come home, have their dinner on a table by their wife and go to the pub. Mm-hmm. That was it. There was never really communication there, and there's now need where the life is 100 miles an hour, that men need to slow down and actually start talking about exactly how they're feeling. It could be, they think it could be a minor thing, but that minor thing, if they don't talk about that minor thing, it's going to end up being a major thing in their lives.
Do you think, and you're absolutely right, do you think that some men think that they are too embarrassed or they don't want to maybe talk to family members about it, but the reason that they come to you is because you're a stranger and there are other people that don't know them, they don't know their backstory, they don't know anyone in their family and friendship group, so maybe it's a bit easier?
Yeah, I think it's a confidence thing as well. They may not have talked to their family and friends about how they're feeling, but what they'll do, they'll come to our group, and you're right, they don't know us, but they get to know us, they get to trust us, and it's getting that confidence then to go, actually, now I've talked about my story at our For Men to Talk meetings, both virtually or physically, or even our walking groups. they can now get that confidence to go and speak to their loved ones and say, look, I'm going through this, but I am getting support through Fermented Talk, but I just need to talk to you about exactly what's been going on with me the last few weeks, few months, even years. You know, we've had guys who have been having issues for 40, 50 years.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
And do you think that they maybe find a pathway through their anxiety or their turmoil or whatever it is that they've got going on, and they've got a chance to kind of talk it through with other men and get different perspectives, and then maybe they're more sort of freed up to go back to their family and say, I need to talk this through, because they know what it is they're talking through, because they've done it with you first.
Absolutely, yeah, you're right there, because a lot of men have come into our groups as well and gone, I actually don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I feel anxious. I don't know why I've got all these worries. But once they just listen to other stories, they resonate with it and go, oh, actually, that's why I'm feeling like this. And that's the understanding for them, like you said, to go then back to their loved ones and talk about, you know, why I'm feeling like this.
Now, it's not just the meetings, the virtual, you do it face to face. I love the walks. Tell everybody about the walks.
We have a walk once a month. So on a second Sunday of every month in Biggleswade, we go and walk around this lovely green-wheeled route in Biggleswade for an hour and a half, and we just talk. So instead of just sitting down in a bar or in a cafe, we just sit down and we walk and talk. So like last year, we came up with the idea, this is going so well, we want to get a bit more exercise. Why don't we do a virtual London Marathon? So that's what we did. So we actually trained for 12 weeks and did 26.2 miles walking and talking at the same time, and got a London Marathon medal at the end of it as well, which was just incredible. And we're going to do it again this April as well.
Your face. Oh, we're going to do it again this April. Have you been cajoled into this?
I have, yeah.
So it wasn't your idea,
No.
Luke. You can't let people down.
No,
there.
exactly, I can't, no.
Here we are. So you started this in December. So this sort of time of year, only in 2019, we're only 2 years on. How does it feel to have accomplished and helped all of these people?
Well, I'm not a really big person who does New Year's resolutions. However, this year I decided, right, I'm going to do one and look in the mirror and say, look, well done, Mr. Newman, you've done amazingly well. And I've managed to do that this year. I'm really proud of what I've been able to put on. We've had 108 meetings this year.
Wow.
We've had just over 1,400 attendees to all these 108 meetings. I'm really proud of it. Absolutely over the moon. The awards, you know, the BBC Three Counties Radio Award was just incredible. There's been other awards come through as well, which I'm extremely grateful for, but I don't do it for the accolades. However, it also emphasised how much hard work I put in over the last 2-3 years. I have worked like all the hours. It's my part-time job. I've got a full-time job as well. You know, I work for Mind now and within the NHS.
Do you?
Yeah, so with Mind now, I work as a community connector, so I actually signpost men and females to groups that are going to support them through their mental health journeys. You know, it might not just be medication or counselling they need. It might just be to go into groups like Fermented Talk. It could be a Dominoes club. It could be a book club, and that's the kind of role that I've got into in the last 6 months from falling in love with helping people. So yeah, my life has completely changed, especially this year.
What was when you said you started this in December 2019, why did you, at that moment in your life, why did you do it then?
I think I've always wanted, and again, this is kind of a mental health illness a lot of people go through, is that I had almost a identity crisis of what I wanted to do in my career.
Yeah.
I've always gone in with social media marketing for 15, 20 years, really enjoyed it, but I knew that it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And I just come up with the idea. It was Christmas Eve. So I don't know if it was that day or just had the idea to just come to my head and just, right, let's launch, let's do it, let's just give it a go. So it can happen just like that.
The real light bulb moment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Gosh, and what about your family? How do they fit in and around this? And is it stressful?
It can be stressful. We've got a WhatsApp group as well, so not only does our group doesn't stop after the meetings, we have to monitor the WhatsApp group to make sure everything's okay. My family, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you if it weren't for the love of especially my wife and my children. They're so supportive. You know that I've written a book as well.
Yes.
And I'll go to market squares and have craft fest to talk about the book and Fermented Talk, and my twin boys come along. And they come and sometimes one of my proudest moments this year is one of my twin boys actually took over the stall for 2 hours to talk about Fermented Talk and my book. He was only 11 at the time, and I just watched him for 2 hours and listened to him. And
really?
I got emotional watching him because it was so proud, because it showed that he believed He believes in what I'm doing.
Oh, he believes in you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's amazing. And also, you're changing the narrative here, aren't you, for young boys and young men? So maybe the boys coming and the young men coming behind you, if you're teaching life lessons like that, maybe they will not see it as some sort of weird weakness to talk about your feelings.
Absolutely, that's my next step. It's grassroots. You know, boys and girls need to realise that with mental health, you need to consider it, you need to look after it, you need to put things in place to make sure that you're going to be okay. But you need to understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling as well. So that's the next step in for men to talk, I think.
I think because I've championed you right from the start,
I know you have.
And just been a massive fan of you, Luke, because just when you told me you just did it on your own, it shows me the power of you, or just what you can do if you are determined and you believe in what you're doing, which clearly is absolutely spot on. And it just shows how powerful that drive and that, you know, it was the right thing to do. It just shows me what one person can do all by themselves.
And without you this year, I wouldn't be in a position I am. You've been so supportive, and BBC Three Counties Radio in the last 3 years as well, without a shadow of a doubt. You know, even before then, I'll go to Kenya every year on humanitarian trips. So I go for 2 weeks and go and build in the slums and classrooms.
Do
and stuff.
you?
Yeah. So I've done that for 8 years. Obviously not in COVID years, but yeah, I'm going back in May next year.
Wow.
But I have so many people supportive around me that I, again, wouldn't be in the position I am. But the reason why it's worked for men to talk is because I'm focused. You know, one part of my mental health illness is that putting things in place to make sure that I'm going to be the best possible version of myself. So I work so hard at this because I know how important it is to the men who rely on this group now. You know, like I said, there's been 1,400 attendees this year. Hopefully next year we're increasing the numbers to 128 meetings next year. Hoping to help more men. I'd love the idea of somebody taking on a For Men to Talk as a franchise and taking it to a different town in the 3 counties and say, look, I'll run this under For Men to Talk umbrella. Just get more and more men to talk about how they're feeling.
Yeah. Now, before you go, I wanted to ask you about this. Now, one of the highlights this year, you said yourself, the Make a Difference Awards, and you won. I mean, it was overwhelmingly. I secretly was like, please can Luke win, because I wasn't on the judging panel. But because you've been so brilliant, I was so pleased when you won the award. We've got a little clip of you.
This is not my award, this is for every single man that comes to our meeting. You know, so far this year we've had 1,023 attendees to our meetings, and this is what it's about. It's for men to talk openly and honestly about how they're feeling. But this is also dedicated to the men who didn't feel like they could talk and took their own lives. You know, we're trying. This is what it's all about. It's to get men to talk about how they're feeling. And that's the most important thing.
You must be so proud. You must be so proud of what you're doing.
Yeah, I had a New Year's resolution to be a bit more proud about myself. Look in the mirror and go, yes. Yeah. And I am extremely proud of what I've done, because this is what it's all about. This is about looking in the mirror and going, well done, Luke, well done, because you are giving men a platform to open up and it's saving lives. Oh, that made me go a bit warm there, as in tingly. You could tell how emotional was that evening as well, just my voice there. It was an incredible evening, and that's lovely, yeah.
And have you done that? Are you going to do that? You promised me you do that. You're looking in the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, yeah.
You should be so blooming proud.
I love it. I love what I'm doing, both professionally with Mind and the NHS, and especially with For Men to Talk as well.
Yeah, and anybody listening now, and you might think, oh no, that's not for me. But if you're got thoughts in your head and you're struggling to talk to your other half, or you're struggling because you're worried about cost of living, you're worried about your job, whatever it is you're worried about, and you don't want to talk to your actual mates, you want to talk to other people that perhaps don't know all your backstory, don't need to know it, but you can talk to people that genuinely will talk to you about what you're going through, and maybe because they've been there and done it. So if people are listening now, if there are men listening now, what's the first thing they should do, Luke?
Visit our website. I've just updated it over the last few days of not doing anything. Website for mentotalk.co.uk. We're all over social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. I'm on TikTok. It's crazy. But and my number's on there. My email address is there. For any man, just to have a bit of a conversation before you come to our meetings, I'll be happy to talk through what happens in our meetings. It's very, relaxed. There's no rules and there's no regulations. You can say as much as you want or as little as you want. It's just finding comfort that you're not alone in your mental health.
And the other thing, and I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but you are a bloke's bloke. And there's no, do you know what I mean? I mean, somebody listening might go, oh no, they're all a bit, a bit sort of airy-fairy. It's not for me. Luke's like a bloke's bloke. And so if that is you and you need to talk, then Luke's your man. You've got nothing to lose. If you're sitting there thinking, what have you got to lose? You literally have nothing to lose. Thank you, Luke. You are absolutely my favourite person of 2022 in the three counties.
Don't say that to me because I'll cry.
Cry. Thank you so much for giving up your time. And here's to 2023. I don't know what you're going to do, how amazing it's going to be, but I can't wait to see.
Thanks very much for your support again, Babs.
Thank you.